Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 187 of the All Dolphins podcast on this beautiful, fairly decent day, Friday, January 5th, 2024, 2 days ahead of the AFC showdown between the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills for, it's an AFC showdown, for the division title and the number 2 seed. A loss would relegate the Dolphins to the number 6 seed, and a trip to Arrowhead Stadium to face the Kansas City Chiefs next weekend.
So no other variables with a loss. That's where we're
That is it.
going.
Locked in. They're playing at Kansas City if they lose.
Okay.
If they win,
all right.
they could wind up facing the Buffalo Bills again, or the
Mhm.
Jacksonville Jaguars, or the
Mhm.
Pittsburgh Steelers,
Mhm.
depending on the results of other games, including Pittsburgh at Baltimore on Saturday. Obviously, Jacksonville at Tennessee on Sunday afternoon. So those are the only ones that will come into play.
Last time Miami played for the AFC East Championship was 2008, where Chad Pennington basically willed them to win, beating his former team, the New York Jets, who dumped him earlier that season, throwing him into the arms of the Miami Dolphins, where he was actually the team MVP of that 11-5 year.
Yep.
Look at me trying to give a history lesson.
How about that? Where you go, Omar. And that is at the time training camp started, and it was a three-way battle for the starting quarterback job between Chad Henne, who was a rookie second-round pick, John Beck, who was a second-year player, and then Josh McCown, who had bounced around several teams. And then the Jets get Brett Favre. They dump Chad Pennington, and the Dolphins were like, come on over, Chad.
Yeah, we watched that practice. I think McCown was going to be the starter. None of the quarterbacks were good.
No.
And Chad Henne was mediocre. And as you saw, mediocre for the following 3 years as a starter with the franchise. And Beck was trash.
Second-round pick. And this wasn't during a time.
And one of the greatest QB developers in today's game, unfortunately. Let me be bad, Omar.
Yeah. But that was during a time where the Dolphins, I think the number of years was 5 straight years where they used a second-round pick on a quarterback, whether it was via trade or selecting a player, and it was trading for Dante Culpepper, trading for A.J. Feely, selecting John Beck, selecting Chad Henne, selecting Pat White.
Mm-hmm. And I support the thought process. Keep picking until you find one.
Okay, remember that as I point out that the Dolphins made a trade, series a second-round pick to Arizona for Josh Rosen. Go ahead, tell me the same thing.
Oh my God! Yes, when you don't know that the quarterback is trash, he was.
How does that not apply to John Beck or Pat White?
No.
Who anybody should have known did not have the body to.
Listen, Pat White was ahead of his time. Don't be disrespectful about Pat White. It didn't work out because the ball was too small. He was rail thin. He's probably bigger than the Arizona quarterback. So
no.
Oh yes,
he's taller, but Kyler Murray's
okay. He's 190. He's 190. Kyler Murray, I don't think he's much bigger than 190. Hell, he might listen. Pat White was an innovator, a revolutionary player in the college game at West Virginia. Don't whisper. I'm kind of worried if we have connectivity.
You just said it in the college game.
In the college game, but it was coming to the NFL. It was slowly coming to the NFL. I think he was a little bit ahead of his time. Ball was too big for him. They forced him to take off his glove. He got whacked in his one play against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, I know he's skinny and rail thin. Stop bringing it up. I get it. I can hold up a finger too. I can hold up a thumb, a pinky too.
Dude, he wasn't built to last in the NFL, and they drafted him with the vision of he'd be the perfect point man for the Wildcat.
They saw where the college game was going at that time. If there wasn't a Pat White, there wouldn't be a Lamar Jackson. If there wasn't a Michael Vick, there wouldn't be a Patrick Mahomes. And that game, you know, I've often thought about writing a book about that because I did a research project on the state of black quarterbacks in college, and it's always been something that just really, really, really sat with me. You remember Anquan Bolden was like a parade All-American quarterback, and basically gave it up in his first year. Did you know Peter Warwick was a quarterback as well?
Yes.
That there are so many great athletes who were high school quarterbacks that could have taken it to the next level at that position, but they were basically forced to play other positions just because the game wasn't ready for what it is today.
Correct. That kind of quarterback. But my whole point is, I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to hold your words against you.
Don't you bring up that damn Josh Rosen? Don't you bring him up?
I'm going to, because I don't have an issue with that trade. But again, this was at a time the Dolphins were scrambling to find a solution at quarterback. Give it your shot.
I don't have an issue with that line of thought. What I have an issue with is you using that when you're bidding against yourself on a trash quarterback who you knew was a trash quarterback.
Obviously, they didn't know if it was a trash quarterback. Otherwise, they wouldn't. Do you honestly think they would have pissed away a second-round pick if they knew he was?
I know for a fact the year before in that draft, Josh Rosen wasn't even on their board. So how does a guy go from not even being on your board to all of a sudden you're going to go trade for him just because somebody in the Flores camp liked him and thinks that he could be developed and whatnot? Come on, man. You saw
because in this draft, it wasn't Brian Flores who was the head coach. It was Adam Gase, and Adam Gase had eyes on two of them. As you know, it was Baker Mayfield and it was Josh Allen. He didn't like Lamar Jackson. He didn't like Josh Rosen, and he didn't like Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. And he wound up being Sam Darnold's head coach with the Jets a couple of years later, which I'm sure made for some interesting conversations. But
no. We got at that time we got it all wrong about which quarterbacks that he wanted. He certainly wanted Sam Darnold. Revisionist history.
Revisionist history, correct.
Yeah, but we all know what it was.
Okay, but my bottom line is,
and he wanted Josh Allen.
He did want Josh Allen, and then he was proven right. No, I'm not in love with Josh Allen before because I know it's coming. My whole point is they whiffed on those 5 moves. Okay? Yes. The point we're making about Josh Rosen, they should have known he wasn't a good quarterback. Well, they should have known that A.J. Feely was a backup. And in fact, A.J. Feely, in one of his conversations off the record with the media, is telling us, I prefer being a backup. Whoa. And then Dante Culpepper didn't pan out. John Beck didn't have a successful NFL career. So anyway, okay, let's move on to, this is episode 187. So we'll a quick look back at the 87 season because based on the comments, and I have cats meowing outside my door here. Based on the comments, you guys apparently prefer that to the jersey number recognition. So we're going to keep doing it until we get to 2000.
Give these youngins a history lesson, Poupard.
Sorry?
I said, give these youngins a history lesson, Poupard.
Yes, 1987 season, remembered as the strike-shortened strike replacement game season. Yes, there was a strike in the NFL, player strike after 2 weeks. Players decided, nope.
So they started playing the season, and then 2 weeks into it, they stopped?
Played 2 games. They stopped. They went on strike. The owners decided we are going to form teams using replacement players and whatever players are willing to cross the picket line, and there were a sprinkle of those. Dolphins went 2-1 during the strike replacement games, including a 42-0 spanking of the Kansas City Chiefs in Miami.
How many games did they gear up for these replacement games? Or how many weeks did
they played? 3. Dolphins went 2-1 in those.
Hold on. They basically said, we're going to start the season, play 2 games. Players go on strike. And next week they said, okay, let's find us some replacement players and then play the game.
Well, it's not quite like that. It's basically, okay, so the league starts. They're in an impasse with the CBA. And then they play the first 2 games. Then the players went on strike I believe it was on the Monday or the Tuesday after week 2. They canceled the games of week 3, including Giants at Dolphins. Then the owners were like, okay, no, we're going to field replacement teams. So in week 4, 5, and 6, they played strike replacement games. Dolphins went 2-1 in those. Then the NFL, the strike ended. The players came back, resumed with the regular players. Dolphins went on to finish 8-7, missed the playoffs. I believe Marino had good numbers, but it wasn't a great Dolphins season. The highlight may have been that the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year that season was a Dolphin player who had been a third-round pick, who is now a member of the media, an all-around good guy, Troy Stratford, a running back from Boston College.
Troy led them in rushing and receiving, which is
Yep.
interesting. It doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, you got Mark Clayton, Mark Duper. Why are you throwing to a back? I don't remember those teams though.
I don't remember why they threw so often to him. I don't know. Okay, let's bring it back.
Move to today.
Friday, January 5th.
Friday, January 5th. Injury report came out. This is the final injury report for the week. Let's go over the Buffalo Bills first because it's kind of simple and easy.
That will be fast.
Everybody except for center Mitch Morse, who is battling an illness, is listed as they're playing. Morse is questionable. Stephon Diggs got veteran rest today. Micah Hyde is playing with a neck injury. Von Miller got veteran rest today.
No, got veteran rest Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay, my bad. Josh Allen with a neck and right finger, full practice participation. Obviously, Daddy's coming home.
Oh, you had to go there. Okay. By the way, we're going to be way under. You've been very good about it.
Kept the daddy references to a minimum. Okay. Yes.
That's two of them right now in about 20 seconds. So you're slipping a little bit. Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach, did say he is not anticipating any issues with Mitch Morse. And by the way, this was pointed out to, I don't know if it was to Frank Smith or Butch Barry on Thursday, that the Bills have had the same starting offensive line the entire season. They're one of, I think, 3 teams in the NFL that have been so lucky.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of good luck right there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dolphins injury report, a lot better than it was Wednesday and Thursday when they had 19 names on it at one point. Because
yes, I think there's still 19 names on it though.
I know, but only 5 of them have a game status designation, and that's ultimately what matters. And the only 2 who are ruled out are Bradley Chubb, who's only on the injury report again because he's not on IR yet, which will happen Saturday.
More than likely when Jerome Baker is activated from IR. And I expect Jerome Baker to be activated from IR.
And I second that based on my observations from practice on Friday without giving details. What my eyeballs told me, and we'll get to Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert a little bit later, but my eyeballs tell me the dude's playing.
Yeah, what else do your eyeballs tell you?
You got bigger eyeballs than I have very small eyeballs. Anyway, the only other one who's been ruled out is Xavier Howard, which Mike McDaniel indicated before practice Friday and also early in the week when he had said he was week to week. So that's not a big surprise there.
Mm-hmm. Jerome Baker's listed as questionable with that knee injury he's coming back from. We've got Raheem Mostert, who's got that knee and ankle. He practiced today on a limited basis. He's listed as questionable. Then we've got Jalen Waddle, practiced today for the very first time in 2 weeks, is listed as questionable. Does Alan Poupard have a guess on that?
Oh, I do. Oh, but I do.
Okay.
And before I get to that, Waddle spoke after practice, and we joked that maybe he spoke just so Tom Garfinkel could collect on his bet, because Jalen, before he spoke to us, turned around and picked up his gear and go, okay, I have to do this, and then I have to put this on. He turns around, and this is not an Expos hat he was wearing. It was a Michigan hat, and he's got a Michigan hoodie. Tom Garfinkel, the Dolphins president and CEO, went to Michigan. Jalen, of course, went to Alabama, so they had a little friendly wager, regarding who was going to win the game on Monday night. And Jalen was
Hold on, Garfinkel only betting Jalen Waddle? No.
I asked that exact question. I asked Jalen. So was it just you, or did Tua and Raekwon Davis also have to do the same? And he said he didn't know.
Yes, I always love those friendly wagers that they have in regards to wearing and doing press conference. I believe Duke Riley had to do a press conference in something non-LSU after they lost a game. I can't remember which game it was, but
was it this year?
Yeah, it was this year. Yeah. I can't remember which game it was.
I don't know if it was then.
Yeah.
So anyway, Waddle talked about, like, are you playing? How are you feeling and all that? And he said exactly what you'd expect to say. There's always a chance I'm going to play. It felt good out there. It felt good to be back with my teammates. And then if you look on social media, you're going to see some clips and some commentary from some people like he looked good based on the 3 patterns that he ran. That doesn't include how he's walking back to the huddle after those plays. When he's running the routes, it looked fine. When he's walking back after the play, it doesn't look great. And then
in timeout, because
ahead.
I remember in Jalen Waddle's rookie season,
Yes,
I consistently pointed out that Jalen has a limp. Why is he
yeah,
walking with a limp? Because he always had that foot issue that he was coming back from at Alabama. And I'd be like, why is he walking with a limp? Well, for the record, for 3 years, Jalen Waddle walks with a limp. And he always would say, that's my walk. And
correct.
it's true. So it's very hard to determine
Yes,
whether this limp gait is associated with the ankle or it's just how he walks, because he does walk with a limp.
agreed. Again, based on my observations, I would say he's listed as questionable, which means 50-50. I would place my bet, I think, on the under about him
Yeah,
playing.
I'm with you too. I don't know if you risk possibly having him suffer a setback and not be available for the playoffs game, trying to get him on the field for this AFC East championship game. So all of them are important. This one's not any less important than the playoffs game, because honestly, it could set you up for success or lead to your destruction in the postseason. So I don't know what to do. And in fact, I read Mike McDaniel's commentary because I was lazy and I took a personal day for myself today and I did not go to practice. I don't, yeah. I don't know if I don't know if Mike McDaniel's willing to risk it. I just don't. With Raheem,
I don't know if it's an issue of risking it or the guy just can't perform. Because the routes that he ran, I mean, they're not full blast. There's no defender against him. So I just don't know. With Raheem, I think I probably feel a little bit more encouraged about Raheem than I do about Waddle, based on body language, movement, the way he ran, the way he moved, and all that. So for him, if questionable, it's 50-50. I think I would put his chances upper 50-50. And Baker, to me, it's a borderline slam dunk he's playing. And we should add the very good news: Robert Hunt did not get a game status designation, which means he's playing, which means, barring a massive surprise, he's in the starting lineup at right guard. I'm not buying for a second that he's gonna be active but not play.
And then be the bench, be the backup.
No.
I do agree with you, primarily because Lester Cotton is battling a hip injury that he's had for a while, and I guess it's progressively gotten worse. But I will say this: Rob has been sidelined for 2 separate months because of this hamstring injury. Rob is a warrior. He wants to play, and he put him on that list right there with Jerome Baker of players who's tired of losing to Buffalo. He talked this week, and he was like, back in his Louisiana Lafayette days, it was much like Appalachian States, where they just could not beat Appalachian State, which just so happens to be Kendall Langford's team, and then Kendall Lamb.
Kendall Lamb and
The running back, Harrington Evans, yes. And that just annoyed him. Rob is absolutely, unequivocally, undeniably excited and anxious about playing the Buffalo Bills, as should be the entire offensive line, because they led to that loss. They were the undoing. No, don't you shake your head. Do not you shake your head. Absolutely. You cannot shake your head. Do not do that. Sorry. When you cannot protect your quarterback on a down after down basis, when they're just rushing 4, they're not blitzing, so you're covering everything. Your cloud coverage, you're keeping everything in underneath, and then they're just getting after you and harassing your quarterback with 4 rushers. You have to take responsibility for that, sir. No?
How many games can you win scoring 20 points?
Enough. The Joe Philbin, the Tony Sperano and Joe Philbin Dolphins did it for their entire tenure.
Okay, how many games can you win giving up 48?
0.
Okay. Maybe 1 or 2%, right? So to me, yeah, that loss is on the defense. Sorry.
I mean, they were just getting carved up.
Well, correct, but that loss is on the defense, not on the offensive line. The offensive line was a problem, and let's not forget about the fact that Dolphins had touchdown drives the first 2 times they had the ball. So it wasn't like they were, here it comes, booty cheeks the entire game. It started off well, and then it went south. But the defense was crap, forget beyond booty cheeks. It was crap the entire game. Which leads me to story I wrote on alldolphins.com.
Sorry.
Come on, one more. Man, there we go.
Slow.
About the Dolphins and their Josh Allen problem. And, well, here's the thing. Don't say the word. Don't say it.
You know if you say the word.
Okay. We all know his stats are ridiculous against the Dolphins. It's a passer rating of 110.8. 31
it's beyond ridiculous. It's obscenely good.
I'm just talking about it. 31 touchdowns, 5 picks, averaging 273 yards passing, 57 yards rushing because the passing is not enough. However, where there is reason for optimism, where it's not like, oh my God, they can't stop Josh Allen, it's a lost cause, it's over. Let's bring it back to the 2 of the 3 games they played last year. The game at Buffalo, I have said before, I'm going to maintain the regular season game at Buffalo. The only reason the Dolphins actually played a very good game, Josh Allen stole that game for the Bills. That was one where he was completely ridiculous. And then it was a type of game where those of us in the media who hold him in high regard can point at that game and like, man, was he good? Or the Casey playoff game, the 13-second game. However, in the other 2 games, Dolphins beat them in Miami 21-19 because Buffalo kept leaving points on the field. And Allen, even though he threw for 400 yards, again, he had a really bad 4th down incompletion when he never set his feet. They had a blocked field goal. And then at the end of the first half, if you recall, they were going to spike it to attempt a long field goal. And Allen bobbled the snap. And by rule, to be able to clock, it has to be continuous. The second he bobbles, you can't just bring it back and throw it down, which I did not know. Because then it would be called intentional grounding, I guess would be the rule. So what he did is he picked it up and he threw that pass to Stephon Diggs to the sideline, and he got tackled in bounds, and the first half ran out. So that's another 3 points that they blew over there. So the Dolphins need that. Or in the playoff game, it was interception by Javon Holland, and the strip sack that led to the Zach Sealer fumble return for a touchdown. That's where the Dolphins, hopes may lie defensively, because I don't know about shutting down the Bills' offense completely.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Okay.
I think defensively, you got 1 hope. 2, I'll give you 2.
Go ahead.
You better shadow Stephon Diggs with Jalen Ramsey, make it at least a challenge for Josh Allen. And Ramsey and Diggs, that would be a great epic battle. A battle that you should want to watch as opposed to Eli Apple or Kader Kohou versus Diggs. And we all know how those play out or have played out this season. And then the second thing is you got to have somebody step up and provide pass rushing pressure on Josh Allen. Now, I wrote a column.
Did you have somebody in mind, Omar?
Yes, I did.
That's called a setup. There we go.
I wrote a column on alldolphins.com. Listen, I would argue to you that nobody has gone through more this season than Emmanuel Ogbah. In terms of challenge, not playing, but challenges emotionally, being a good teammate, the mental toll of basically being discarded. And here is the opportunity that nobody should technically be able to take from you. You're probably not going to start, but you're going to have respectable playing opportunity to showcase what you can do. Can you imagine if he gets hot as a pass rusher and takes out all his anger and frustration that he's had from this season out on Josh Allen and becomes the hero of the game? Can you imagine it? Can you dig it, Poupard? Can you dig it?
Hollywood storyline.
Hollywood storyline. A guy who is cast off. And we all know Agba's story. He knows himself he's going to be cut at the end of the season. So it's as somebody joked on Twitter, he's wiping his tears with all his money. I believe he makes $700,000 a game. And hey, let's not count the man's pockets. No matter how much you get paid, if you're not playing and you're not a contributor, it's quite frustrating. He's got a ridiculous amount of snaps. I mean, a ridiculous amount of productivity for a guy who's had exactly 200 snaps on defense this season. 5 sacks, interception, forced fumble, 8 pass deflections. Like, it's
you memorize the stats.
Yeah, I just wrote a column.
I can see the poster now. Rusher to the rescue, the Emmanuel Agba story.
Oh, I might change my headline. Rusher to the rescue. I like it, Poupard. Okay. Rusher to the rescue. Okay, I like that. Or how about Rusher to the Dolphins rescue? Or no, Rusher to the rescue.
Rusher to the rescue. And then the subhead is Dolphin outside linebacker Emmanuel Agba. Jalen Ramsey spoke in the locker room after practice Friday.
Oh, how were those 3 minutes?
No, actually, it was 1 minute. He literally prefaced it by saying, "Okay, you guys got 1 minute." And then Robert Hunt, who was across from him in his locker, after the first question, like 50 seconds, 40 seconds. Yeah, Rob was having a good old time with it. And I didn't time in.
We joke because every time Ramsey talks to us, he's like, "Okay, y'all got 3 minutes. Okay, you got 2 minutes." So this week we were down to 1 minute. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and Barry asked him whether there had been conversations about shadowing Diggs, and his answer was, "Ask Vic." And then he was asked, "Is that something you would like to do?" No, the word shadow was not used because Jalen doesn't like that word.
What is he like, traveling?
I think staying with or lined up opposite.
Vic uses traveling.
Traveling. I like traveling. Mirroring is another one we could use.
Mirroring is another one, yes.
And then he said, "Of course, I will want to be as involved as possible, and I'll do whatever is asked of me," which is, again, pretty much what you would say. Here's the thing. It's interesting because we talk about shadowing Stephon Diggs and the damage he did in week 4. Sorry. The truth is he's not been a major factor in that Buffalo. In fact, the stories out of Buffalo are all about what's going on with Stephon Diggs.
He's tired, blah, blah. We talked about it on Behind Enemy Lines earlier this week.
Correct.
With Chris Brown.
He's tired, and I saw a headline from my buddy Tim Graham, who basically maybe have suggested, are they doing this on purpose?
To do what? Piss him off? Because you could piss him off. It ain't going to end well for you.
I don't know. But the bottom line is, I don't know if it's as simple as necessarily you eliminate Stephon Diggs and problem solved for the defense. However, you obviously can't let him go crazy like he did in week 4.
Yes. I'm very curious on what the approach will be. Stephon Diggs has just gone off on Miami, just like Josh Allen has throughout his career. So it'll be interesting to see what transpires and what happens. But I would feel a lot more comfortable if Jalen Ramsey defended Stephon Diggs on third downs and in the red zone at the bare minimum. Now,
I don't disagree.
Yeah, at the bare minimum. If you leave him out there on Kader Kohu and they fillet Kader Kohu, then I'm sorry, you've done a horrible job as a defensive coordinator on this particular day with a high-stakes game. Your job is to create game plans and strategies to minimize the opposition's best player. What would Bill Belichick do? Bill Belichick certainly wouldn't allow Kader Kohu to be lined up against Stephon Diggs on a consistent basis. And if I'm the Buffalo Bills, that's exactly what I've worked all week trying to get.
Okay, fair enough. I'm still of the opinion, ultimately, though, the success of the defense to me is going to come from being able to force some takeaways. They didn't do that. And even I mentioned the Bills leaving points on the field in the game in Miami last September. Let's also not forget that the Dolphins' first touchdown came on a 6-yard touchdown drive after Javon Holland blitzed, caused a fumble, and Melvin Ingram recovered. So they need one of those plays because I would be very surprised if Josh Allen doesn't put up big numbers. If he doesn't get 280, 300, 320 passing, and he's going to get 50 to 60 rushing because now he's back to running the ball a lot more now with the new offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, after I don't know what
Do you remember when Joe Brady was a cast-off in Carolina?
Yeah, I also remember him at LSU in 2019 when he was in charge of
the hot stuff.
Offense. Oof. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
Man, that offense was good.
He took Ken Dorsey's job, so Ken Dorsey's enemy is my enemy.
I know. And Ken, it's funny though because Dolphin fans will all remember Ken Dorsey from that shot in the press box after the time ran out on the Bills last year, going all nuts.
He is a competitor, absolutely a competitor.
Another one of those great college quarterbacks, just didn't have the arm to play the NFL.
He played a nice little cup of coffee. I thought his NFL career would be going faster, higher by now. But
check. You talking about Ken Dorsey? Oh, you mean as a coach? You're talking about as a quarterback?
Yeah, as a coach.
Yeah. No. Well, he's obviously
super smart. Yeah.
Sorry.
He's super smart. So he's taken he's been an offensive coordinator for a minute now. Obviously things didn't work out in Buffalo, but maybe he just goes and latches himself onto Brian Daboll. I would love to see him continue to come home and actually become the Miami Hurricanes offensive coordinator. But did you see that Tua's brother?
I was about to bring that up since you mentioned it. Yes, Tua's
hit
brother
the transfer market.
Yeah,
hit the transfer portal. He's decent. He's respectable. He's absolutely a serviceable quarterback, and that's what University of Miami needs. It just makes so much sense for Tua's younger brother.
Too much sense, actually.
Who's going to have a 7th-year eligibility? I don't know how you get all that.
Is that him? I know the guy in Oklahoma State, I want to say, got a 7th year of eligibility.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Tua, supposedly, I don't follow college football, and but supposedly he wants to be closer to the family or whatnot. And the last I heard, the University of Miami, and this is just a word on the street, they were offering the kid who went to the draft, Ward, $1.5 million. $1.5 million to become the starting quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes. I'm not sure that Tua's younger brother can get that kind of money, but I'm sure Miami will make it and keep it competitive. I believe Tua's brother got something in Maryland. I wonder how much they paid him. I'm going to look it up.
And the other question you have to ask yourself is does he put fannies in the seats because of his name? Not that boosters who are going to shell out that money really care about that, I would think.
Yeah. Tua supposedly he reject Tua. I don't know how to say his name, and I don't want to butcher it.
Taulia. Taulia. I don't know.
He's supposed to make between $1 million to $2 million, and his last time he was considering transferring, he was offered $1.5 million and turned it down from an SEC school. So, not to talk about his brother, and I don't really think if his brother was that dynamic, he'd be headed off to the NFL draft. But can he lead the Hurricanes to a respectable season? Absolutely. Let's do this. I mean, I don't have to shell out the money, but
exactly. Who knows? When we'll worry about him.
Can you imagine the day when you actually? There used to be a day when you had to develop your own quarterback. Now you just go steal him from another team and pay him big dollars. Mm-hmm. The college football is so weird.
It's a whole different game. Well, and they've also and it's all weird, and it's they basically not that I never cared that much, especially recently, about bowl games, but any game that's not the college football invitational, I refuse to say playoffs after what they did to Florida State, which is another issue.
Hey man, they got whacked.
Who?
Florida State.
They had like 29 opt-outs. Of course they got whacked.
Yeah, but come on, man. What's up with these opt-outs? That's a major bowl game. You opt out on a major bowl game? What's going on here? It's embarrassing.
You're looking out for number one is what you're doing. You're prepping yourself for the draft. And again, after they got
29 players ain't getting drafted.
After they got, who knows? After they got, or maybe they're preparing to enter the transfer portal. I don't know. After they got jobbed the way they did, I'm sorry. I don't blame them. And again, this is why I say college football invitational. Call it that because they wanted the 4 teams that they decided were the, and because even the argument that they decided that those were the 4 best teams, I'm sorry, you're not going to tell me Georgia wasn't one of the 4 best teams. So that argument goes out the window. If it's on merit, then Florida State went 13-0, won a Power 5 conference.
Nobody cares anymore. Next year, there's going to be a
I care,
real legit playoff, and then we're going to be done with this foolishness, and we'll be on the new foolishness.
You're right, which is why the NFL playoffs are better because there's no such thing. It's strictly about the record, and this is why. And there'll be no foolishness, opt-ins, opt-outs, whatever, and then the Dolphins will wind up number 2 seed or number 6 seed on merit. Trying to remember the last time.
Is this an Alan Poupard prediction? What is going on here?
Okay. The prediction is coming on alldolphins.com tomorrow as part of my preview. I do that. And I'm trying to remember the last time the Dolphins had as high as a number 2 seed. It's been a while. Last time they had a home playoff game was 2009. After that 2008 season, and they got spanked by the Ravens 27-9.
Whoop them.
Yep. Anything else we need to touch on, Omar? I think we've covered everything for today.
No, we will be back tomorrow. We will be doing our live chat in the afternoon after I come back from the Sea Aquarium with my little baby girl. And we will carry you to game day. It's game night, really. And Dolphins will be last game in the NFL.
Yep.
Don't get any bigger than that. So we will see you tomorrow, and we will definitely see you Sunday immediately after the game, where we'll be talking about Miami winning their first AFC East championship, or how the season is spiraling down the drain and somebody's about to flush it.
Or Tyreek returning to Arrowhead.
Oh, okay. Good point. Okay.
On that
note,
you
know where to find the content, alldolphins.com. No subscription, no paywall, no $20 a month payment. Check your credit card. You'll see how much you're paying. We are free, and we've got a ton of work up there. And we will be back tomorrow for our live chat in the afternoon. Don't know exact time, but somewhere in the 3 o'clock neighborhood. All right, folks. See you tomorrow.